Hello, my name is Father Jacob Rouse, and I am the pastor of Notre Dame Parish here in Cresco, Iowa. And I don't want to tell you what to think or even teach you how to think yet. I just want you to learn with me because that's really what I've been doing all day and for the past 2 weeks since George Floyd's death on Memorial Day and then continuing on the riots, protests, looting, discussions, dialogues, Facebook, social media posts, everything that goes along with it. Just to refresh, yesterday we said that all lives matter as a response to Black Lives Matter is a false dichotomy. It's a informal logical fallacy which sets up only one or two or three options as the only possible reaction. So that is a fallacy. A fallacy is a fault or error in reasoning. And just a quick refresher in the types of reasoning. So deductive reasoning starts with a general theory and then goes to examples, observations, and evidence. So, for instance, if I were to say all books have words, I'm starting with that. All books have words. That's the general theory. So if I find a book and it has members of the alphabet in it, and if I find another book and it's got words in it, and if I find another book and it's got ink made into letters that's printed, that supports my general theory. The other kind is inductive reasoning, and that's what Sherlock does. You have all these examples and observations and examples, and then they lead to an actual conclusion. So, if he has black clothes, and he's got a collar, a white collar, and he's praying, and he's saying Mass, and he's reading the Bible, and he knows stuff, then he must be a priest. Okay, yeah. Then obviously it's more complicated than that, but. So we are looking at our first fallacy, which is where'd it go? A faulty generalization. Here it is. So I've heard that this is an inductive fallacy. I've heard that Black Lives Matter protests lead to rioting and looting. Well, that's one observation. You've seen maybe just one riot or a couple riots or whatever, or violence leads to it. So that does not support it. So therefore, it is a fallacy because it is an error in reasoning. These are the two types of reasoning. Okay. It's a faulty generalization, which is an inductive fallacy, which is an error in reasoning. I just said that. A more common way to refer to this is one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. I think you can see where this is going. I'm a Catholic priest. I think I'm a good priest. I know hundreds of other good priests, so therefore, are they all bad? No, they are not all bad. The same goes for police officers. I know lots of good police officers. They're great. Even the ones that pulled me over. Well, except for one lady when I was in high school, but she was kind of mean, but whatever. Every other cop that I've interacted with and have as a parishioner and have as, a friend, they're great. So does that make all cops bad? No. Just because you saw one or hundreds throughout history doing bad things. The same goes for Black Lives Matter protests. Sometimes they do turn into riots and looting and unfortunate things. But then also, so not only does one bad apple not spoil the whole bunch, we also have to look at the systems that are there. So for instance, yes, I'm a good priest. Yes, I know hundreds of other good priests. But the fact that child abuse and sexual abuse of minors has happened in the priesthood, that means I'm not bad, Father Jacob's not bad, and I don't do that stuff, so I don't have to worry about it. No, because the system which, brought me forward is flawed in some way, and so that's what we did. My entire seminary upbringing and discernment was been in the light of the sex abuse scandal, which came out, when I was a deacon as well. So what do you do when you see that something's bad is you change it. So if there are 10 bad priests and 1,000 good priests, okay, all right, well, these 10 priests don't define the rest of the 1,000. But if these 1,000 priests don't do something about these 10 bad priests, then they're all complicit, I guess. So what I'm kind of learning and want to explore myself, not on this video until I have it, figured out a little more, is that maybe there is something wrong with the system itself of the laws that the police officers are, protecting, because they're protecting law. When I was a young boy, and everyone in my class growing up said police officers are the good guys, and you go to them if you have a problem, and you can always trust them to protect you. Apparently that's not true in all cities and all scenarios and all, people, humans' lives based on the color of their skin. So that's something that I'm investigating. So similarly, that I can't talk about that yet because I have not researched it, and I'm not going to share a headline or a blip of something that I have not actually looked at yet. But yes, I'm a good priest, and I am not, everything I do is a middle finger to the child abuse scandal. Everything I do, I'm trying to, not right the wrong or reverse it, but I'm trying to live my priesthood as a good example and as to make amends, whatever it is. Okay, so, and the entire seminary system, everything from homiletics to the theology to the way we studied scripture has been revised and the social aspect of seminary has been revised because of this outcry and because of, protecting God's children, the youth, the minors. So that's, I think, what a big part that's happening right now is that I'm learning about is that maybe there are some things in the system that need to be fixed. Not just because I am a good priest and I know a good cop, and I know a few black people who are not, about rioting. Okay, there's 3 of us, black person, priest, and cop. We're all good people. We don't wish ill will on any of us, but the system that we're a part of might be part of the problem. So that's what I'm learning, and that's what I'd like to it's uncomfortable, I know, because cops have always been the good guy in the way they train. I was in the Army, I'm a veteran. So of course you think, truth, liberty, and the American way, Superman, whatever. Thank you, Aretha, for getting me back on track. So 2 new fallacies I'd like to introduce you to are informal genetic ad hominem fallacies, which means genetic means they're from the source, and ad hominem, ad to homo, the man, the person, they're from the source and to the source. Tu quoque, which means you also. These are Latin terms, once again. And then whataboutism, or whataboutery, as the British would say. Well, what about the fact that they lit a church on fire? Or what about the fact that they vandalized the Lincoln Memorial? Or what about the fact that they're destroying other, black businesses or black on black crime? Like, what about? No. The point is not those things. Those are distracting. This could also be a red herring fallacy. Maybe I didn't make a card for it because it's not quite lining up exactly, but changing the topic. The topic is systemic racism, and so that's what we mean. So, but I'd also like to take a break from, talking about the looting and the rioting, which are wrong and incorrect and, potentially criminal activity. Stealing a TV is not right. There's a lot of opportunists and a lot of wicked people out there who are using these protests, and then mob mentality, breaks into violent behavior. But have you ever been behind on rent payments, or, couldn't afford diapers or baby formula for your children or food? How easy would it be to, see them breaking the windows of a store or a Target, or breaking in and then lighting it on fire, and then just kind of thinking, well, I need to feed my kids, so I better, sneak in. I don't mean anything by it. I'm just going to steal just a little bit of baby formula or baby diapers, So it's a massive gray area. It's not black or white. The Black Lives Matter, true protesters and then, criminal looters who are just after TVs and Xboxes, No, it's a gray in between, we really don't know. I would encourage you to look at the fact that they're not all thugs and criminals, like that's just a generalization, a hasty generalization. I would bring your attention to Les Miserables, which is a book by Victor Hugo, and it's a movie and a musical, and then a movie again. But Javert is the police captain who accuses Jean Valjean, who is the main character of, he's basically reading to him everything that he did. Now, okay, I'm not going to sing it. I don't want to do Broadway, which would be fun, maybe later, another time. But now bring me prisoner 24601. Your time is up and your parole's begun. You know what that means. And he says, yes, it means I'm free. I've got parole. No, it means you get your yellow ticket of leave. You are a thief. I stole a loaf of bread. You robbed a house. I broke a window pane. My sister's child was close to death, and we were starving. Then you'll starve again, unless you learn the meaning of the law. I know the meaning of those 19 years. A slave of the law. So I'm just saying, I don't know the position that a lot of these people are in. I don't know the rage, the 400-year-old oppression and laws that are still enacted because of this. I don't know it, and I'm not ashamed of it, but my privilege, I'm not ashamed of my privilege, but I am going to, research it, look it up, learn it, try to understand what other people are coming from. So I think that's all I have. Go look up, if you want, go look up, the entire Les Mis musical. But the first song is called Look Down and On Parole or Chain Gang. I'll put a link to it. And then Bob Dylan's, the great Bob Dylan, Hurricane. And then, of course, Aretha Franklin, Think. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. Go wash your hands.